Sunshiny and rainy at the same time. Hey everyone, Asha here from Garden Days. It's a beautiful sunny day. It's mid-afternoon. I thought I'd go ahead and give you a garden tour since we're here in September. It's the beginning of September. The weather is starting to cool off, so it feels lovely. Yesterday I laid a bunch of compost down just right over the wood chips. I'm going to start using that along with wood chips for my mulch. I think that'll help build up the fertility in the soil. We're going to start the tour here in the Perennial vegetable garden. Now I am working on a new garden bed here. I had to add more amendments into it, and then I'm probably going to let this sit over the winter before I plant it. I'll plant it out next spring. Or I have 2 months left, so maybe I might plant it out this season. We'll see. But let's go over here. Now, I have horseradish here. It doesn't look like it's doing too well. And the figs are, I think, only on their second year. So they're still small and tiny. We have the honeyberry bush here, which is going on its second year. I think this has struggled a little bit, not enough water. So I have increased the water in this area or this zone. I planted a new tree here. This is a peach tree. And I took out the salt bush. I think that was sucking up a lot of water too, or moisture. So I ripped that out and I think it's better. I've remulched in here. Also put compost down. Jimmy and Jeff were able to help me clean out this area here. This is where all my pots were. And I'm going to plant, I think, 2 or 3 fruit trees in this area. But I've got to extend the drip system. And looky, we have a volunteer sunflower. Actually, most of my sunflowers are volunteer this year. They moved all the pots under this area, which I think is much better. It's definitely more organized and neater. I thought those grapes had died off, so I retransplanted them in this bucket here just to put them somewhere, because I wasn't sure if they were dead or not. But they started to sprout again. So I replanted them back in this area. They used to be here in this row. But I moved them over to that row since I had already planted in, I believe these are Vanessa grapes. Yeah, the Vanessa grapes. And these are doing good. Well, besides the last one, it looks a bit stunted. And I don't know how something would have chewed it, but it looks like something had chewed on it. But, I mean, I'm completely fenced in, so I don't know how that happened. The strawberries that I have underplanted are also starting to send out runners, so that'll be awesome if they could spread through here. I planted 2 winter squash in here and also sweet potatoes, and the winter squash has taken over. But you can see down here, which is not getting sun, these are the sweet potatoes right here. I probably should move those somewhere else. My chocolate mint is doing good. The blueberries look like they're struggling a bit. This one looks like it's doing well. The strawberries I've underplanted. Only 1 plant survived in each bucket except this one. They all died off. And this one looks like it has chlorosis. At least that's what the veining looks like. Anyways, I need to add more sulfur to that. I think that's what's going on. and a few of the other ones seem like they're doing it too. I don't know if they didn't get enough water because there's leaf curl and burn. So this one has mainly lost all its leaves, but a few leaves are starting to pop back in, which is a good sign. And like I said, there's only one strawberry in there, but each plant is sending out runners. I also have my peppermint and sweet mint. Wait a minute. I think this one's a chocolate, and the one I showed earlier was a sweet. I had an existing strawberry in here to begin with, and it's looking better than it did because it did have the yellowing of the leaves, and it's definitely starting to green up. All the strawberries that I planted in here did not survive, except the one that already was in here, so that's unfortunate. And then I transplanted the lemon balm, which was right here, and the grasshoppers have completely eaten it up. But one good thing is that I have this little baby cilantro popping up. Now this was reseeded from the cilantro I had last season, and since it's starting to cool down, I think is why it popped up. So that's awesome. Rosemary's doing good. Sage is doing good. The thyme has died off. It was a little patch of English thyme, so I'm just going to replace that. It's easy to find. And the little onion patch, some of it's gone to seed. I just spread the seeds in the same area. This side of the herb garden's doing well. I'm going to start with the chives here. I'm hoping that will flower and spread some seeds. We do have the parsley that's already reseeding. It's on its second year. The oregano looks really good. Starting to have some new growth coming from the center, but it is flowering. Hopefully it'll seed and have some more new plants. I did have a sage plant here, but that completely died off. It's okay because I already have another sage. Like I said, I had a lot of sunflower volunteers, but also I planted in some green beans that I just threw in here and there. So I think this Gala apple is on its third year, and I underplanted it with clover and also some green beans. And this I planted probably, I don't know, 2 years ago, and it's now finally just starting to come up. It's weird. The second year of Swiss chard, and it's starting to bush out even more. I haven't harvested any yet. I was hoping it would go to seed and it would just drop and reseed itself. That'd be nice if I'd have a patch of Swiss chard here. These are some of the volunteer sunflowers, the multi-bloom ones. This one's almost gonna go to seed here, but there's new heads popping up everywhere. And then I have some more beans here, some kale. I think that's broccoli, but second year I'm hoping it reseeds itself. Then I just planted some melons here. I forget what they were. Actually, I think this is squash, not melons. And I know I might not get anything from it, but I just wanted something to be growing here. We'll start on this front row first. I think it's a wild rose. It's just a dainty little flowers. And this, I didn't even have to plant. It just came up by itself. So I'm glad that that's there to shade some of the soil. I planted some green beans, and then also had a volunteer sunflower here. Now along this row or drip system here, the middle one, I planted some shallots, and they probably won't come up till next year. But I had a patch here and just a few, I think there was like 5. And I split them up, so that way I'm going to have a whole row for next year. That'll be awesome. I did get to harvest a handful, so I have some for eating. So starting from this point on, I had planted more asparagus. I had a larger plant, and I broke it up and added it into this area, so I would have more asparagus plants. And this one is actually, oh wow, new shoots are coming up. That's awesome. But look, this is a female because it has the little red berries. And hopefully that'll seed and I'll just get a huge asparagus patch here. That would be amazing. This honeysuckle is starting to do well here. Look at, isn't that awesome? I'm hoping that'll cover this whole trellis area. And my rhubarb, I transplanted from the main garden to here, and it kind of struggled last year. It didn't really ever do anything. But this year, it's really taken off, and it's liking the spot. So hopefully this will spread and make a huge rhubarb patch here. Now I have the raspberries here, and unfortunately, I think this one has died off. And these are the Boyne raspberries, and I have 3 plants. These are coming back. They're starting to green back out, but no signs of green from this plant, unfortunately. I have some dinosaur kale, which is doing amazing right here. This is its 2nd year. I didn't have to replant this. And I think I have some, this looks like Brussels sprouts to me. Yeah, or cabbage. Not sure. But it's just growing underneath the kale here. Now, there's 2 more dinosaur kale plants. I need to actually harvest this. I haven't used it, and it looks lovely. Right behind the dinosaur kale is the new goji berry that I planted, and it's already starting to get some berries and more flowers. So that's awesome. I've actually never tried goji berry. Let's see. I'm thinking it's going to be astringent. Actually, it tastes like a, that's weird, like a sweet tomato, like a very sweet tomato. That's unusual. This is my new almond tree, and I did actually buy another one that I need to get planted, but this will take years to get any size or actually bear any nuts or fruits, and I'm hoping that this will shade out this area eventually, because I want to plant shade-loving plants like the kale and other lettuces in here, but I'll probably have to move that goji berry because it does like sun. I have another berry patch here. The first 2 were raspberries. This is the meeker. I forget what this one was, but it had died off, so I actually ripped that one out, and I put in one of those grapes because I had 4 of them. And see, it has growth down there, so that's awesome. Actually, more than one that's growing through. But from that point on is blackberries. I have different varieties of that. They're all thornless, I believe. There's the Chester, I have the Black Satin, and the Apache. This one is the Triple Crown. I think this is the one I have planted in the other part of the garden. Now these are doing amazing for some reason. I'm not sure why, but they have a bunch of new growth on them and not much dieback. Alright, well that's my perennial vegetable garden. Not much going on this season, not as much as last season. But that's okay, because I'm hoping for more of a perennial garden, and those will take over, and I won't really have to plant out annuals. Because honestly, I don't mind buying my tomatoes at the grocery store. They're not that expensive, and lettuce isn't that expensive either. Although I do like to grow the kale because it's easy to grow and it can be perennial. Here's the 2 new trees that I bought. This one is the almond, like I had mentioned earlier, and this one is a nectarine. I think I'm going to plant them in that spot over there. But let's check out the rest of the garden. We'll start with the fishbowl area with the table. So the mint hasn't really done much, and behind the fire pit here I had valerian and also tickseed. Neither one of those did come back. This climbing rose, which is a red variety, I'm not sure what it's called, but it's doing well. Then I have the red hot poker here, and it's doing well. It's on drip system. All this is on drip. Now in this planter here, this juniper died off. I don't know why, but it did. I had 3 in here, so I'm willing to just rip this one out and let these 2 take over. And then there's that thrift store find that I bought for $3. That's awesome. And I have this holly here, which looks like it's struggling. The other holly that I have is doing well, and it actually has berries on it. I'm not sure if the grasshoppers got to it. It's what it looks like, so that's unfortunate, but it is starting to put on new growth. These planters here are doing good. Now that ivy's growing well, but this one looks like something was eating it and it's struggling. A little dieback is going on. So hopefully it bounces back. And the other plants here are doing well. This is the juniper, and also this ice plant went to flower and I think it's dying off. The 4 o'clock patch looks like it's doing well. I think it bloomed while I was gone, because I see the old spent blooms here, and there's the seeds for it. Spread, spread. So hopefully that spreads. That'll be awesome. It's unfortunate that I missed the blooms. I was like, what is that crawling in the tree? It's a bird. I'm not sure what kind of bird that is. It's beautiful. It's like a dark blue. Oh, there's... Oh, God. There's like about... Oh, and here comes more. It's like about 10. Oh, and more. Huh. Wonder where they're coming from. Nice. Wow, there's like over 10 birds in there now. Oh, huh. They must have found what they wanted. Oh my god, there's like tons of them. Probably over 50 that just flew by. Well, they're all gone now, and I think what they were after are the pine cones, because this is a pinyon pine, and it's one of the pine trees that produces the pine nut, and they're starting to open, so I think that's what they were after. Yep, they did drop a pine cone. Let's see, right there, I don't know if you can see that, but there's a pine nut in there, and that is edible. Those are the pine nuts that they sell in the store. That's awesome. Ooh, maybe I can plant that and get another pine tree going. Okay, I'll save that. Actually, there's quite a few of them down below. I need to gather those. Ooh, they're sticky. Sticky, sticky. Okay, let's start on this side here. We had 2 failures, which was the juniper, which I think the drip emitter got plugged, and this was the azalea that I just don't think was getting enough moisture. I think they do like a lot of moisture when they're first starting out. Yeah, that's completely died off. Oh, well. Oh, it's kind of still flexible at the bottom, and there's a little green right there. So hopefully the rhododendron back there is doing wonderful. It looks really good. Hopefully it looks that good next season. And this here is, I forget, I think it's a pear. It's like 3 varieties on here. Let's see. Yeah, the Bartlett pear. And what is this one? Can't see it. The Century pear and the Bostic pear. Anywho, I think it went through transplant shock and lost all its leaves. Not to mention this July was pretty hot. I think it got to 101, and that's very uncommon for this region. Usually the hottest it is in the mid 90s, which 94, 95, 96. But yeah, we did get a little hotter temperatures this season. This juniper did fine, but it's a juniper, of course it did. Here is the other holly, which is in the ground and seeming to like it much better. See, there's little berries there. There's the winter creeper, a juniper there. That's on its 2nd year because I had that in a pot and it survived the winter, so that should be good. And I have some sage growing there, along with some pumpkin seeds that I threw down, which I don't think are going to do much, although it does have 2 months left, so you never know. When I got back, that forsythia looked like it was struggling a bit, but since I've been back and watering more regular, it's seeming to have bounced back. And we have this bird's nest here that looks like it pretty much died off. There's some green underneath, so I'm hoping for the best. And the 9 bark over here, I planted 3 of them, and this one looked like it just completely died off. This area over here, which mainly is the salt bushes, other than this planter, which has a bird's nest, and it struggled a little bit too, but it's definitely bouncing back better than the other one. And I can't remember, and here I had Gaillardia growing, and there's something coming up, so I'm thinking it's Gaillardia. This birch tree kind of went through a transplant shock, but it is bouncing back and getting new growth coming on, especially towards the top, which is a good sign that it's not dying off. Since this is a smaller area and doesn't have much going on, I think I'll start in this area and then go over that way. We have some daisies down here. Now, most of the daisies have kind of struggled, except the 2 I have over there that I'll show you in a minute. And then we have this 2-in-1 peach with comfrey that's planted underneath, and also it has struggled a bit, but it's starting to come back. I thought I was stepping in an anthill for a second. I felt something bite me. Oh, there was ants. Okay, let's stand back here. Anyways, I got potentilla right there. And this is a patch of yarrow that's starting to come back. So we have a red hot poker here and a desert willow, which did not survive. I think it just needed more water than I gave it. There's valerian there. That's one of the patches that survived. Also over here, this is actually the better patch of valerian, and something is digging. What the heck? No digging. So bird's nest for some reason seems to struggle here, and that one completely died off. So I'll probably not plant any more of that. Then I have a Japanese boxwood here, and it's doing pretty good. They're very, very slow growing. And I planted 3 in the garden, and that's the only one that survived. 2 more bird's nests that unfortunately died off. This is the other forsythia, and it's doing okay. I think I probably should move that to a sunnier location. I think it would enjoy it better. So that's what I might do later. Then we have a heuchera here that loves its spot. This is a lime green version. Then a hosta that's being taken over by some kind of vining plant I probably should remove. Oh, jeez. I definitely need to be better with weeding. Okay, there we go. That's much better. Okay, I have shorts on, and it didn't start happening until I got over here, but the freaking flies are starting to bite now. Actually, they don't really bite because they don't have teeth, so that means they're vomiting on my skin. Ugh. Okay, I'm gonna go put some pants on real quick. Okay, well this should help. Being comfy, lazy moo-moo. It's a perfect day for it, isn't it? Nice breeze. Okay, let's start over here and then we can continue on. Excuse my mess of the octopus drip system. I'm trying to reorganize everything into this wooden crate here because that one was plastic and the sun got to it and it's just disintegrating. Okay, now this plant here, I'm not sure what it is, but it is a native plant that's mixed in with the red hot poker. And I like this combination because it makes it look like this plant actually has flower. So I might collect the seeds and spread them through my red hot pokers because I really like how this looks. And the red hot pokers will bloom in the spring, late spring, and then that's it. They're done. I don't think they'll come back again. But I don't know, they might, who knows. Red hot pokers keep their leaves all year long, they just don't bloom. And the yellow flowers really don't have leaves because they're drought tolerant. They're teeny tiny, so they look good mixed in with the red hot pokers. I have my burgundy plum here, which I planted right before I left, so I'm glad to see that it's not thriving, but it's not dying either, so that's nice to have that. And then down there is the Santa Rosa plum that I planted also at the same time. And we have the potentilla here, which is doing better than the other one. Now, the potentillas are supposed to be drought tolerant, and I don't know, it did completely almost die back. There was just a little green, but it is starting to come back, so maybe that's what they mean, that, you know, it just kind of dies off and then comes back. But it's kind of struggled since I put it here, and I'm gonna let it go another year because they say the first year it sleeps, the second year it creeps, and then the third year it leaps. So we're hoping for some leap next year. Then 2 patches of daisies. These are the ones that are actually doing well in these spots. I have some comfrey here, which is starting to come back. I already mentioned the plum. And there's the Chicago fig, which is a cold hardy variety. Over here is my Granny Smith apple tree. And the grasshoppers got to it this season. They completely wiped the leaves out. There were no leaves, but since I've been back, I've been watering it extra, and as you can see, it's starting to get new growth, which I'm so glad. There's growth at the top as well. There's another red hot poker, and I transplanted this native. It's the same as the other one. Hopefully it comes back. It looks like it's struggling or went through transplant shock. I found that a lot of the natives, like the 4 o'clock here, which is a huge patch, I wish I could move. They just don't like to be transplanted, and I'm thinking this has a big, huge root down low. Maybe I can get to that root, and if I can, I'll transplant the root. But the plant itself, you have to completely cut it back because this will not transplant. It'll completely die off. I need to work on this area. It's looking a bit of a mess. I did have Veronica down there that never did come back. This trumpet vine, though, is liking its spot, and it's going on its 2nd year, so hopefully next year we'll get more growth. I don't even want to talk about the plants on the deck. They're a disaster. At least these ones were. Juniper that died off, and then the bird's nest died off. I'm just not going to do bird's nest anymore, I don't think. Specific junipers do well. Like this one here did not like it, but this one did. So I think I'm going to do more of these in the pots. And it's basically the same as this one, except this one has more yellow in it. Okay, let's head back by the laundry room, and then we're going to go back over here to the area that I just planted this season and see how those plants are doing. Before we do though, this bird's nest right here seems to be doing fine. I just don't get it. It's like it did struggle and it's starting to come back. So if this comes back, that'll be amazing. Now this planter here did die off, and I think it has something to do with the watering system. For some reason, the drip emitters that are up higher aren't getting the plants water right. So I did get back and I started watering it, and I see green starting to pop through. So that'll be amazing if that comes back. And here's some of the green beans that I planted. Oh geez, where did I leave off at? I can't remember. I need to go in a specific pattern. I don't know if I talked about this area, but we have Rose of Sharon here. I had one Rose of Sharon there, but it died off and I had to replace it with a winter creeper, which is doing well. And there's a honeysuckle here. This is just a regular variety, and it's starting to climb a little bit. Slow process, but it'll get there. In my last video, I showed where I dug the trenches here, so if you haven't seen that, make sure you go back and check out my last video. We have an ornamental plum there, a lilac, a rose bush, and all those are doing well. On this side over here, we have the Russian sage that's doing well. I planted 2 pine trees. They're getting new growth and doing well, along with the maple, which looks like it has leaf burn, which is unfortunate. And it might be due to not enough water, so I have increased the water on that. I have another Chicago fig there planted along with comfrey. And these little bushes that you see here are actually tumbleweed. When they get mature, they start to take on a red color, which is very pretty. Although they seed, like you can see, they're all over the place. They just seed everywhere. But I don't mind them. We have tried to pull them out of the driveway. That's what Jeff did. And because I don't want them to reseed there. That'll just become a mess. I don't mind so much in the garden because they do have a pretty look to them. And over here is the Photinia. I planted 2 of these. This one is doing better than the other one. That one looks a bit sparse on its leaves. So I've been trying to water it more. We have a St. John's wort here, and I was unsure. This I got on sale, so I didn't know if it was going to make it or not, but it seems to be doing well. So they are drought tolerant. I almost forgot to mention this 9 bark, but I thought it had died off. But as you can see, it's putting on new leaves, so that's good. I hope it survives. And behind the maple is another one. They just all look wilted and dead. I don't think this one's gonna come back. I don't see any new growth. Oh, well, I don't know, maybe. There's some down there. Let me break off the ones that are dead. There's still some flex to some of the stems. Like I said, that Photinia is struggling, but not as much as that yew. That yew did not like its spot at all. I don't know if they like shadier locations. Possible, especially in our sun here in the high desert of Arizona. And I don't know. Yeah, it's dead. I'm gonna just replace that. This is a 3-in-1 stone fruit. It is actually cherry, nectarine, and peach. And I think the only one that survived was the cherry, which is good because my other cherries had died off. So I'm glad this one survived. And I do have nectarine and peach, so I'm okay with those. I can just cut that off. But I'm gonna give it till next season because they're still flex. So maybe it just was struggling with the summer heat and died back. Well, I don't know. I'll still give it some time and see what happens. Sometimes plants bounce back, but if not, then I'll just cut that off and then I'll have a cherry tree. A baby fir planted down there. A mugo pine. I've planted several mugo pines, and I believe this is the only one that has survived. Plants can be a little weird, and it just depends on the spot, the location, how much water it gets. So everything in this spot pretty much died off. So I put a fir tree in here. Hopefully that'll get some size to it. It's bigger than the other one. And fill out this spot nicely. Other than that, it's mainly natives through here. Saltbush and cactus. Like this prickly pear, which needs no maintenance at all. And I do appreciate plants like that. I think I did have a leak up there, and it caused the pressure in this line here to go down, and these elderberries were not getting watered well, and these had been doing so well, but they are bouncing back. They've got a flush of new growth on them, Although it's very green and it doesn't look like black lace elderberry. Maybe they'll darken up, I don't know. So I had 2 desert yellow azaleas, and that one I think is dead. But this one I thought was dead, but it's not. There's actually green growth growing down here. Maybe I should weed here a little bit. Stop taking the moisture away from this plant. Anyways, yeah, you can see some green growth right there. So I'm glad. I hope this comes back. Here's my other black lace elderberry, and it's starting to come back. There's the green growth, but I just don't think it likes the spot. I might end up moving it to a different location once I see more green growth on it. Then we have the cactus over here. Obviously doesn't need any attention. Now don't get me wrong, I love cactus. I think they have beautiful blooms. They are a bit pokey, but I just don't want a whole garden of cactus. I've seen succulents and cactus gardens, and I think they're beautiful, but I do appreciate some flowers and just green stuff. Like the lilac, which does amazing in our soil. It's okay that this soil is poor. It just seems to do well and not struggle. Knock on wood, let me not jinx myself. And yeah, so I might start planting in more lilacs because I know there's different varieties of those, and just to fill in spaces. Like this space here has nothing. I need to have more fillers. Yeah, I definitely want to find things that will thrive here instead of struggle and die off. But I had 4 corbels here, the heuchera, and they're the kind of burgundy colored, but only 2 out of the 4 survived. And it might have something to do with I had these ones protected. I don't know if something ate them. It's a possibility. So that's the thing about gardening. You just kind of have to test the waters and see how it works, because not everything's going to grow good or like the spot that you put it in. But that's okay. You just try multiple plants of the same variety and put them in different spots and see what spot works best. But this garden here has basically turned into natives. There's the native barberry, which is that one over there. It's completely taking over that. It's a very pokey plant, but you know, if it fills the space and I don't have to take care of it, I'm okay with that. I did have buddleia over here, the butterfly bush, and I had 3 of them. And none of them survived. So I don't know what the deal is. Usually they're drought tolerant and they don't mind poor soil. So we have another cactus here, same as the one I just showed you, and that one is loving its spot. This was a surprise to me. We have a clematis here, and I thought that would have died off, but actually it's coming back up. So that's awesome. It has a beautiful big white flower. And I planted that last season, so hopefully in a couple years it'll get a good root system and it'll just take off. That'll be amazing. The scabiosa, or pincushion flower, died off. No signs of life from all 3 plants. We have the dianthus that is there, and I think it's starting to come up with some new blooms, which is awesome. And then the lavender here is doing okay. It was starting to die back some, but it's coming back, so that's good. At least this plant was pretty bad. Yeah, I definitely need to do more pruning, but hopefully that will do better. It's only on its 2nd year. I planted it last season. And then over here, I think this is a shortcake raspberry. It's supposed to be very low growing and not spread too wide. I cannot remember what this ground cover is, but it really likes its spot. I mean, it's doing well and starting to spread. So this is amazing. My yarrow got eaten by grasshoppers. I mean, they demolished my yarrow. And also my sedum. There, I had 3 sedum and 3 yarrow. This is starting to come back. That yarrow didn't ever get eaten, but the other ones did. I'm just glad to see that they're coming back. Oh, I was mistaken. There were actually 2 butterfly bushes over here, but yeah, both of them died off. So unfortunate. It's not only that the plants don't like their spot, but sometimes things just eat them and they just demolish the plant. But I'm very persistent, and eventually I'll find plants that like the spot and fill in this whole garden. We have the penstemon over here, And this is a native. I actually found this on the roadside and brought it home. So this is actually doing well. It bloomed nicely this spring and it died back off, but it's now starting to come back up. It did go to seed. And this is the other blackberry that I was talking about. It's just, it doesn't like its spot. I might actually move this over to the perennial vegetable garden where it'll have more protection and hopefully do better. It probably needed to be cut back also. And yeah, I can probably do that. And then just plant something else here. I have a jujube. I actually have 2 of these. One's over there. And these are on its 3rd year, but it can take up to 5 years before these plants get well established and start producing fruit. And here is the nectarine that I moved this season. Yeah, I think this one has died off. Unfortunate, but let's see. Yep. Oh, well, it still has some life there, but I don't know. Maybe I'll give it till next season, and if it doesn't come back and I don't see any leaves in the spring, then I will just replace it. There's the other jujube, and there are a bunch of little babies growing underneath. I think I'm just going to let them grow. I know you're not supposed to let suckers take over like that, but I already have one that's going to be one stalk, and then this one I'll just make a multi-stemmed tree, and hopefully it'll work. We'll see. If not, I can just cut it all back. And in front of the jujube is the thornless blackberry that has died off. So there is a difference to this garden as compared to the vegetable garden. The vegetable garden seems to be growing mostly everything well, but the thing is that I tilled most of those beds, where these I tried to do the no dig system. And unfortunately here in this area, I mean, it is high desert and it does have clay soil that's compacted. And also the only things that mainly grow here are saltbush, tall grasses, junipers, the desert barberry, and pinyon pines. But there are some flowers that do well that I've shown you in the garden, like the 4 o'clock and other ones, like the yellow one that I'm not quite sure what its name is. And I'm thinking that maybe I just need to clear out these garden beds and get them prepped better. What I had done is I just laid down tons of mulch, and that was it. And then I started planting in it. I would amend the spot that the plant was in, but I think that's a bad idea because the plant will want to stay in that little hole that has the nice soil and not venture out, or the roots won't. I think the best thing for me to do is to clean up the garden beds, remove the mulch, put in amendment, till it, and break up some of that compact soil, so that way things will grow better in it than just digging a hole and planting something in it, hoping for the best. Now obviously some things are okay with that, because I had this garden bed and mostly everything did well. As you can see, I mean, it's not full and lush. Considering I planted most of the plants this past year and this year, I think the garden's doing good. It's still a brand new garden, and things definitely take time. Well, I want to thank y'all for hanging out with me during this garden tour. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to smash that like button. Boop. And also, if you want to check out more videos, they'll be right over here. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. There's the button right there. And don't forget to hit the notifications. We'll see you next time here on Garden Days. Bye, everyone.